Hello my crafty friends, and it is always a pleasure to see you here. This week one of my customers reached out to me about my owl template that I have in my Etsy shop, and they were having a few problems with rolling the beads. So nothing gives me greater pleasure than to help people that reach out to me and to support them to make sure that they get the most out of their crafting. So whilst today's tutorial is going to heavily focus on said template, along the way there's going to be so many tips and tricks that there really will be something on there for everyone to learn, and you will be able to take away lots from today's tutorial. So I hope you stick around and stay till the end. Now, before we jump into today's adventure with paper beads, I wanted to give some love back to my sponsors, and I recently switched over to coffee, and there's a link in the description box, and everybody has previously on my last link been so generous, and honestly thank you so much. You sponsoring me means that I can buy myself a coffee every once in a while, but it also means that I can buy printer ink and glue, which means that I can continue making these tutorials to support you and the wider community. We honestly don't make a lot of money from doing these tutorials. You know, I think people have this idea that people are going to make absolute fortunes doing YouTube videos. It honestly isn't the truth. I wish it was, but you know, it does mean that we can buy the resources that we need in order to support us to make these videos to help you and everyone else. So cheers. Thank you so much. I honestly appreciate it, and honestly, on behalf of everyone else, thank you very much. So without further ado, let's crack on and let's have a look at the template that we're looking at today. As I mentioned before, this tutorial is about this template, which is the owl template, and I will leave a link in the description box below. And it has 21 different templates that you can print out and you can use. You get 3 1-inch tube beads, 4 bicone beads, 2 barrel beads, 2 full page of bicone beads, by which I mean these ones. So you get like coordinating beads that come with it, and then there's also 2 pages of cone shaped beads. So these are the ones where it's a flat bottomed bead, but these aren't the ones we're focusing on today, and we aren't going to focus on these ones which create barrel beads, and we're not going to focus on these ones because I think that the one that my customer has had the most problem with is probably this one. Okay, and what I wanted to do was just talk to you first of all about how I go about designing beads. Now, when I'm designing beads, I have to think about the fact that some people are going to be printing this on A4 paper, and some people are going to be printing this on US size paper, which I think is about 8.5 by 11 inches or 11.5 inches, which is a different shape and size to A4 paper. So I have to design it for both sizes because my customers are literally all over the world. I also have to think about what paper you might be using. Now, I have used just plain old printer paper, which isn't the thickest, but for me, I'm absolutely happy with that. You could also print it out on like a glossy photo paper, in which you're going to get a very different bead, a very different thickness of bead than you are if you use this paper. Okay, so there's lots and lots and lots and lots of ways that you can customize these and make these your own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these beads out, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a look at the different options for when you are rolling this bead. Top tip for you when you're making paper beads and when you're using one of these templates. In between your templates, you will always end up with these spare strips. And as much as I try to limit how much waste there will always be strips of paper that are left over either in the middle or at the ends, but invariably they do have a little bit of colour on them. don't throw them away. You can save them up and you can roll them and make new beads out of them. And then you can always colour them with things like nail varnish, paint, glaze, all sorts of things. You could colour them in with Sharpie pens, things like that. But then you can make yourself some new beads out of what technically was the waste bit of the template. I hope that helps. Right, so I've got two strips cut out, and if we go back to what I was talking about, the thickness of your paper, how you roll your bead will depend on how much of this picture you see. Which is where, as a designer, it gets a little bit complicated, because if you used a big roller, so something like this, then your bead is going to be really big and you will probably end up using a lot of this picture. Whereas if you use a really small roller, then your bead is probably going to be very small and you will only be able to use a small amount of the picture. Now, I don't know how big your beads are going to be. I don't know what paper you've used. So what I have done is I have given you a picture that includes all of the owls on here, and you can make a decision as to which part of this picture you would like to use. So in reality, if I just show you, if you were to use all of these beads, and if you were to end your bead so that there's no white showing, your bead is going to have to be this big, and there's not many people that make beads that chunky. Okay, so you're going to have to make a decision once you have rolled the white part as to which part of this you want to use. Now, on pretty much most of my templates where you are not going to see inside of the bead, such as tube beads, I leave these blank. I don't add colour to them, only at the edges, so that it saves your printer ink. So once you have rolled to here, you can make a decision. If you particularly like those owls, I would chop here, reattach here, and roll these beads. But what I would do is let's just give it a go. So I've got my handy dandy paper bead roller, and I've gone for, I think I've gone for a, let's have a quick look what size roller I've gone. I think I've gone for the 2.5mm. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, about 2.5mm. So, and never worry about the fact that, you know, I've done a whole tutorial on this about the fact that your bead roller doesn't have to dictate how long your beads can be. You can absolutely make huge, enormous long beads with the same bead roller. So pop your paper in your bead roller and hold it with your finger underneath and start to roll it. Then your thumb can come forward and hold it and carry on rolling. And what you're doing is you're catching that paper in that roller, and it is really easy. You don't need lots of dexterity to do it. You don't need super skills to do it. Anyone can do it. So I'm just going to roll this bead. And I'm going to get to this point. Okay. Now, if I roll all the way back around again, you'll see that I am actually only going to get one owl, because that's where this paper bead has finished. I'm only going to get one owl on this bead. Now, that might be absolutely what I want. I just want one owl. But if you want a bigger owl, what I would suggest you do, which is a little bit of a clever trick, is chop this off here, add a little bit of glue to the back of yours, and I have these glue dispensers in my shop, so helpful. Just add a little bit of glue, roll it round. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second sheet and I'm going to attach it. I'm just going to tidy up these edges. In fact, I might even just get them to come in at a little bit of an angle. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to add that second template onto the first one. Make sure it's stuck. And then I'm going to carry on rolling. And this way you're going to get a bigger, larger, more stronger actually, because the more layers to a bead you have, the stronger your bead will be. So now I have a bigger bead, which means that I am now going to probably be able to get 2 owls on it. So I'm just going to see where that's going to end. So if I chop that off there, come around here, I can now probably secure that. But really, it is a trial and error. And what you might need to do is maybe you might need to do like a couple of extra inches, or you might need to actually do less because you've actually chosen really thick paper. I don't know if you have printed your bead on scrapbooking paper, which is actually a lot thicker. So you can now see that we've got 2 owls on this one bead, and that's because I used one full strip and then a second full strip, but I cut these pieces off. Now you don't need to waste these because you could absolutely cut out more long strips and then you could just attach these to them. So there are so many options for what you could do. Now the other option you could do is you could just roll a bead and then cut out the individual owls and then stick those on. So you could just stick an individual owl on and then you can choose whatever backing paper you like. You can just kind of play around with how you want. And then you get all of these other templates that come with it. So you've got this one which has got a darker background. You've got this one with a lighter background. You've got this one that's got lots and lots of owls on. So again, you're going to make a decision as to which part of it you're going to use. You get these ones which make colour coordinated beads. This one which makes bicone beads, and this in a different colourway. You've got this one which makes the absolute most gorgeous arrow beads. And if you go and check out my shop, you'll see that one of my lovely customers has made some, and she's allowed me to put her picture in my Facebook shop of the beads that she has made and the jewellery that she made. She made a bracelet with these beads that are absolutely stunning. So do go and check it out. This one, really funky, completely stretched the owl. You wouldn't know it was an owl, but that is going to make a really lovely complementary bead. So literally another one and another one and another one. This template has literally got so many beads on. When I design these beads, I just can't stop myself because I design for me. Oh, we have a little bit of an interruption. Let me try and see whether I can show you who is here. Not that end. Hello. Hello, darling. Hello, baby. I'm showing them my templates, darling. You're not being very helpful. Are you okay? Anyway, folks, it looks like someone has decided that actually they've had enough of sharing me with you all, and actually they just want a little bit of love. So from me and Luna the Pussycat, I will love you and leave you and not show you that end, and I will speak to you soon. All right, see you later.